This is hands down the best episode we've had yet. We are super excited for you guys to listen to this. Shawn shares some incredible insight. We talk about his decision to leave college after 2 years to go pro. He talks us through step by step what was going through his head in the goal that he scored against West Virginia in the semifinal of the NCAA National Championship Tournament. But before we get into this incredible episode, I want to take a second to talk about our product, the Tech Grip Grip Socks. So these grip socks have been in development for a while now, and we are super excited for you guys to get them on your feet today. Because guess what? They are available now. So don't be afraid to hop over to our website, techgrip.com, and try yourself a pair. We promise you, you will not be disappointed. We have pro players wearing these all across the country and Division I players as well. So we want you to give them a try and let us know what you think. Again, you can purchase your pair today at techgrip.com. And seriously, hit us up on Instagram, hit us up in the DMs, let us know what you think. We are genuinely making this product for you guys. We want to make this as good as possible for you guys. So without further ado, we're going to hop into this episode with Shawn. I hope you enjoy.
I feel like at 20, I've gone through, I don't want to say I've gone through like a fool's career full of adversity, but in my time in college, I definitely went through some things that I definitely needed to go through before I took the step into the professional game. First, I wasn't playing, then I was playing, then I got hurt, and then I got to play again once I kind of came back from injury. I guess you could say I was forcing it a little bit, so it affected my performances. The ball just dropped perfectly, and I was just like, I'm going to hit it as hard as I can. And that's exactly what I did. And it went on target, and luckily it went in.
Our guest today was a member of the U17 national team pool before committing to Clemson University in November of 2021. He has since signed a pro contract with USL side Las Vegas Lights FC. Our guest had appeared in all 23 games with 21 starts in his sophomore season at Clemson, scored his first career goal against Winthrop, and recorded the lone goal in their win against West Virginia in the NCAA Tournament Semi-Final Game off a brilliant half-volley in the 37th minute. Joining us today, 2024 NCAA D1 National Champion, ACC Tournament Champion, NCAA All-Tournament Team Award winner, Apopka, Florida native, Shawn Smart. Bro, so obviously you're a baller. We know that. We want to hear who you think are ballers. So, what's your all-time starting 11?
Damn. Danny Alves, right back. I'm gonna go for right back across, and then I'll start in goal. In goalie, I'd say Manuel Neuer. Right back, Danny Alves. Center back, Sergio Ramos. Paired with.
It's tough.
It's so tough. I'll do Sergio Ramos paired with Carlos Puyol. Left back, Marcelo. A 6. I'll put Patrick Vieira. 8 and 10. I'll put 8 and 10. I'll say Kaká and Modric in the middle. And then right wing Messi. Striker. I'll put Ronaldo, CR7 up top, and I'll put Mbappe on the left.
Okay. All-time Mbappe, all-time already.
Already. He'll go down as one of the greats. I think so.
I think so too. I was telling someone earlier, it was like Holland and Mbappe are about to be the next two that we really start comparing Messi and Ronaldo.
No, for real. I feel like Rodrigo's a sleeper.
Do you guys think the game is changing? Remember when it used to be said you can't be a physical player in soccer, you have to be technical. But now you see these players like Camavinga, Mbappe, Holland that are not that good with the ball, and they're just killing it. So it's damn, is that American soccer? The physical stuff is now transferring over to Europe. You know what I'm trying to say?
I see what you're trying to say. I feel like it all depends on the system and where everybody kind of fits. Because I feel like naturally everybody's just way more physical than the way things used to be, but the game has changed so much. And I don't know, look at Alphonso Davies, he's killing it. And some will say he's not the most technical, but physically he can keep up with any team in the world, so hmm
Yeah, but I think Adrian saying Kamavinga's not good with his feet is kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
gotta
That's what I wasn't gonna say anything, but Kamavinga's pretty.
Technical like a Zidane, an Iniesta. His touches. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that type
Nah,
of technique.
I don't know,
Or,
bro.
or for example, like a Holland. For example, a Holland's not that good
Holland.
holding up the ball. He's not that good with the touch.
Holland,
Mbappe,
okay, but
his
even
touch is
Mbappe,
still fairly far. Like so, you know what I
Mbappe,
mean?
Holland's
He's
pretty
not a
good at holding up
Neymar
the
in terms
ball.
of technique. In terms of a
I would agree.
Ronaldinho, Neymar,
Yeah,
dribbling, like he's
I
just
would
fast and
agree.
strong, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
I'd
so
say.
that's the thing though. So are they prioritizing now the strength and the speed over a technical player like a Neymar, a Hazard, who can dribble like a motherfucker, like insane, putting his body in between. Like you guys understand what I'm trying to say?
yeah,
I get what you're saying. I feel like it's coach's preference. It's like bottom line, coach's
Yeah.
preference. If a coach wants a team that likes to play, then he's obviously going to veer towards the players that are more technical and like physical, demanding coaches. I feel like that just depends on the system.
So, like, who's your team? Like, who's your pro team that you support? Like, your all-time
I'm a
childhood
Liverpool.
team?
I'm a Liverpool guy.
Come on. Come on.
I'm
But how
a
do we feel
Liverpool
about
guy.
Slot? Are you excited? I don't know.
I don't know if you saw like the interview with Genie Wijnaldum. He said that
Yeah.
he's worked with him before and he's like pretty confident in what he could do. Like he's on par with like Mourinho and Klopp. So I guess
Yeah,
we'll just
dude,
have to wait.
Yeah, that's really great to see. Cause like, bro, I watched like they have like video coaching breakdown and tactics and all that, and like he looks like he fits the style. But bro, you put anyone on there, I'd buy in. So I'm curious to
Yeah,
see
for
how it's
sure.
gonna turn out.
For sure. And plus he just won.
Oh yeah, with Feyenoord, right?
Yeah. So we'll see.
That's
We'll
huge.
see.
You think Rodrigo is gonna be heading off of Madrid? Cause like I don't see how
Nah.
you could keep. No, you think Rodrigo's staying?
Yeah, I think so.
So you really think
I
they're
he's
gonna
gonna
have?
win the next 3 years.
I don't know. City, you can never put it past City, and like everybody forgets that City dominated that game first 100.
Yeah,
They just won in
The
penalties.
thing is, what would be
so-
the front three though? What would be the front three? Like Mbappe as striker, they're not going to take out Vinicius, right? They're not going to take out Rodrigo.
no,
like,
what? You
I
can't.
mean, I feel like
they're going to put him as a striker, like a 9.
front
you
three
drop,
would be
you
like
drop
Mbappe.
Jude into the midfield
Yeah,
because now Tony Cruz is gone.
yeah.
So you drop Jude into the midfield, Mbappe, Vinny, and Rodrigo.
And then whoever you want to play with Jude.
Yeah.
So
It's like
Sean, who do you think's gonna win Ballon d'Or this year? And like, what do you think that depends on?
I think as much as I love Jude Bellingham, I feel like Vinny kind of deserves it. You know, like he's scored in some big games, and like as it came down the stretch, not that Jude played bad, but I feel like Vinny gave me a little more. But obviously, there's a lot of international tournaments left to play, so like
Yeah, I was gonna
have to
say
revisit
that.
that one.
Yeah, because I think if Brazil does well in Copa America and England do well, like I think if England and Brazil both perform like around the same this summer, it's definitely got to go to Vinny. But if for some
Yeah.
reason Brazil like crash out and like England do really well or win it, because to be honest, I think they have a really good shot. Personally, I think it's between Germany, England, and France. I don't think
Germany, bro.
I don't think Spain has a shot this year, to be honest. But maybe that's a hot take. But yeah, I think like if England do really well and Brazil crash out, then you got to give it to Jude.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like Spain is always a dark horse. Like you can never count them out. And England, with their recent selections, like I don't know. I feel like it's gonna come back down to bite them in the butt. I feel like they shouldn't have left James. They shouldn't have left Jack. They should have brought
Nicholas
James
Jackson?
Sancho. Nah.
Bro, so who are you talking? Oh, Grealish. You're talking about Grealish. Oh, you said Jack.
Jack
so I-
Grealish. No. Jack Grealish, James Madison, and Jadon Sancho. I feel like they all should have went because like they all have and Marcus Rashford. They all have experience, but I don't know. We'll see.
Not taking
We'll see.
Sancho is crazy.
Not taking
Let's see
Sancho
how
is
you
crazy.
perform too.
I feel like a lot of it went down with like everything that happened at Manchester United, and like maybe Gareth Southgate wasn't fond of that. I don't really know too much of the details, but he didn't even get a sniff. Like the pre-camp thing, and then they released like the final Euros roster. I was kind of surprised, but He's a
Yeah,
baller.
bro. The England national team's fishy sometimes. Like, bro, last time they didn't even take Trent. Like, what?
Nah,
Maybe I'm
I mean, we'll
biased,
see.
but
I support England in tournaments, in international tournaments.
oh yeah,
So
that's your team.
yeah,
Nice.
I like England. They're cool.
We got through your starting 11. Is there like any particular player that like you look up to that's like your goat?
My goat. I mean, Messi's my goat, but like in terms of players that like I kind of look towards that I see in myself, it'll be like all the best right backs. Like I think Reece James is a really good fullback. Danny Alves, Trent, like Danny Carvajal, Kyle Walker, like they all have like parts of their game that I try to just pull pieces from that I think I could implement in mine. So it's kind of hard to just say one, but any good right back you could always learn from.
And is it a little crazy for you to think about that like you're like one like level away from like having to play against like Messi, like your freaking goat? Like, is that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it kind of like when you say it like that, it's like wow. But I feel like there's so much left to do before I can get there. So it's just like, you know, I'm just trying as hard as I can to kind of control what I can. I guess I could say it. Yeah.
Yeah, so because we've heard, we spoke with Jelani Forbes. You obviously, I'm pretty sure you know him with your time at
Mhm.
Montverde together, and then Matthew Acosta. He used to play at Rutgers, and now he plays at UNC. You guys may
Mhm.
have been in a national team pool together, if I'm not wrong. But one
Mhm.
thing that they both mentioned at the same time was mostly about just kind of being okay with being like where they are, like in the moment, and like
Mhm.
focusing on what, like, and controlling the controllable is really, really it. So are there any other things that like for you, I mean, now being a professional at such a young age, is there anything that like you carry with you to like kind of keep the same mentality?
Yeah. Like I feel like at 20, I've gone through, I don't want to say I've gone through like a fool's career full of adversity, but I like in my time in college, I definitely like went through some things that I definitely needed to go through before I took the step into the professional game because like, you know, it's almost like the real world once you arrive. Like in college, I experienced like the highs, the lows, and I feel like it just equipped me very well for the professional game. Like just understanding my routine, my process, all that stuff. I feel like I carry with me now in the professional game.
So your freshman year at Clemson, which is a
Hmm.
huge deal, by the way. Congrats. You only appeared in 13 games, starting in six. So you go from playing 511 minutes your freshman year to over 17,000 minutes, starting in literally every single game your senior year, or sorry, sophomore year. Is there anything you can say about like maybe the importance of being a freshman and knowing like your role and almost being okay with like learning from the guy in front of you?
Yeah, definitely. Like freshman year, it was like a roller coaster because like at first I wasn't playing, then I was playing, then I got hurt, and then I got to play again once I kind of came back from injury. But like I was, I guess you could say I was forcing it a little bit, so it affected my performances. So then I ended up not playing again. And then that season alone, I feel like that, like just the roller coaster of just like feeling like the man, feeling useless, feeling just like feelings all over the place. So then going into the next season, like I knew everything a college season could possibly offer me because I had been through it already. Like I'd been through not playing, been through playing, been through everything. So I feel like when all the questions were asked sophomore year, I feel like I was ready to just take it all on and, you know, eventually found success in that.
So what did that off season look like for you? So like obviously transitioning from like your freshman to sophomore year, like that's a
Hmm.
pretty pivotal time. Is there anything that like you did differently maybe to be like better prepared going into your sophomore season?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of started in the spring because even in the spring, I was still dealing with like a little ankle. Like I had a high ankle sprain in the middle of freshman year, and it kind of like lingered till like halfway through the spring semester. And then we took a trip to Italy, actually. And so we had like after the spring semester ended, we had like 2 weeks to prepare for our trip to Italy. And like I just tried to use that as like, you know, a preseason. Like the biggest thing for me was fitness. Like I always struggled with fitness in my life. I don't know why, but it's just like whether it's I'll cramp, I just won't be able to run enough. So like during the summer, like it was just consistently just getting up to the physical part and then just focusing on my game, just the fundamentals, just working on my touch as much as I can, passing, crossing, just trying to up my game as much as I can to have the most success.
So in the national semi or the tournament semifinal, you had the winning goal for the win and take your team to the national championship. Here we're gonna share the screen with you. We want you to tell us what you were going through in that exact moment. I mean, it's a beauty of a goal, bro. Like I remember I was watching the game and I was just like, nah, there's no way.
Absolute worldie.
There's no way.
Harris with control. Zay trying to get in the path of Smart. He'll shoot it!
What was going through your head in this? Obviously, right before you hit it, and then obviously once you scored.
I mean, like the ball that got played to me, I wasn't really expecting for him to underhit it. So like I had started to open up my run, and then I noticed he underhit it. So at that point, it was just like straight instinct. Like I just ran to the ball, touched it. I saw Moha, like the guy who flicked the header over it. He's like 6'3" and like doesn't really move around as well. So I knew I could just flick it off him and I knew to expect it back. And then the ball just dropped perfectly. And I was just like, I'm going to hit it like as hard as I can. And that's exactly what I did. And it went on target and luckily it went in.
You have any family there?
No, I did not. But 2 days later, like when we advanced to the final, all my family decided to come to the final. So like they were in South Carolina, like all together watching the game. Because my sister graduated from PA, or like she got her white coat from PA school that day. So then the whole family that was there just went over to Kentucky, and then we got to spend the final together, which is pretty cool.
Shawn, so you bring up your sister. So we got to ask you. So your sister played soccer at Wake Forest, and you played at Clemson. So that's like
Yeah.
a massive rivalry. So like, was there beef between you guys? Like, was she happy to support you? Was she wearing like Deacon stuff at your game?
Nah. She, like my freshman year at Clemson, she had already been done with Wake. So we didn't actually have to overlap, but there was definitely like some beef. Like because she tore her ACL in college, so she got to know some of the men's coaches, so they would just give her stick when they found out that I was going there. But, you know, all love, no animosity towards Wake.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. So we wanted to talk to you about like what has that transition looked like? Because you only played 2 years in college, and so a lot of the times, guys are in school for 4 years, and they almost have a feeling that they know they're gonna get drafted. So you made this decision after your second year, after playing such a big part in a national championship run. Like, what did that decision look like from saying, okay, I want to now go pro instead of maybe waiting to get drafted?
It was definitely a little bit of a surprise because I was actually in Clemson for the spring semester when everything kind of went down. Yeah, after the season ended, like I ultimately wanted to leave, but things were tricky. Like Orlando still owned my rights, so I wasn't able to like get a GA or go to the draft without it just got really complicated. So like the opportunity in Vegas kind of came along and it made sense to leave. And coming off of winning definitely helped because we had already achieved everything possible in college, so it just felt right. And although I had a decent season in Clemson, I felt like, if the opportunity was there now, who's to say that I'll play a full season and be healthy a year from now, So I was just like, why not go ahead and make the step now at 20? Whereas in most places, let's say I finished college and I was 22. In my head, I felt like I could set myself up better if I had started my career at 19 and then went forward compared to 3 years later at 22. I just felt like I would have more success.
And do you think that has maybe prepared you better? And do you think that, say, in like 2 or 3 years, like when you've caught up to that same age you would have been like at graduation come draft time, you think you're better prepared now than you would have been?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely.
So who's been like a really big support system for you like during your career? Like it's obviously a big deal to play at Montverde, which you played at. at Orlando City and now Clemson, and now you're a freaking pro. Like, it's a huge deal. Like, do you have anyone that has been a good support system?
Definitely there's a lot of people that I can think of. Like my dad, 100%. Like he's been there for me every step of the way. I talk to him after every game, and I kind of touch base with him as often as I can. And then in terms of like soccer friends, like there's a few like alumni from Clemson, like Joey Skinner, um, Nathan Richmond, he's still at Clemson. Um, there's a lot of names that I can mention, honestly, but I would say my dad is the biggest one for me.
So, Shawn, I want to take it back to your youth years. I know we played somewhat, trained together at Rush. How is the importance of like at a young age continuing to play ages above? Because obviously I'm 01 and you're 03
For
or 04. 04. So you played 3 years up. From what I remember, bro, you were small, but you were still competing at the level and at the level of our game. Like, what would you say is the importance of continuing to play at the couple years up and maturing your game?
I feel like it's a mentality. Like when people hear the age thing, it's like, but I feel like when you kind of block that out and you know what you're capable of doing, then that's all the belief you need, Like I've always been the shortest person on the field or one of them, it's been like a constant throughout my whole life, but like I never tried to base my game about around that, Like I could still put in a challenge just as hard as, the biggest guy on the field. So I felt like just not being afraid of anything on the field, and ultimately just working as hard as I can because you can't knock somebody who's just giving their all. So
But who instilled that
yeah,
in you though? Was it you telling yourself that, or did you have parents when you were younger telling you, "Oh, dude, it's fine. Like, just do what you can, work hard," or did you have that innate reaction like, "No, f all of this. I don't care if I'm small. I'm gonna kill every single
I
one on
mean,
the field."
I feel like it came from mostly myself, Like I always just kind of took it as like, okay, you don't think I'm good enough. All right, bet. Like, let's see, And it was just always kind of small challenges that I would take on and just not really
Or
listening
was
to
it more
anybody's
like
opinion.
anger? Was it more anger, or was it more like, "Oh, it's an ambition. It's like a goal in front of me that I want to come," or was it more like, like no, like let me do what I need to do?
It was like, I wouldn't say anger, but like definitely motivation. Just like, I'm really big on proving people wrong. So it was just almost just like, I took things personally sometimes, Let's just say that.
But
But
even as a kid, though, even as a kid, you felt like you kind of had to like,
chip on my shoulder? Yeah, I
yeah.
would say so. Just because, like, growing up, I feel like opportunities were never really handed to me, And it's so easy to kind of point the finger and see how good everybody else is doing compared to myself. And like, that was something that I really had to work on growing up. Just like, everybody's timing is different. Everybody's process is different, Everybody's road to quote unquote success is different, So I just try to stay on my own lane as best as I can while kind of just focusing on myself and working as hard as I can.
Would you say that winning the national championship was like your biggest like kind of FU moment to all the people who may have doubted you?
You can say yes, bro.
Like, yes, yes, but like, I honestly don't like as much of a achievement as that was and how cool of an experience it was. I just feel like I have so much more that I could actually give to the game. So like, I feel like just knowing that I haven't arrived to some of the goals and ambitions that I have is like all the motivation I need to kind of keep on pushing and keep on going, Because at the end of the day, like I've only played 14 professional games, And so like there's so much more I want to do, and I feel like I just have to stay on track.
So like, what do you want when you picture yourself, say 10, 15 years down the line, or even come the time where you're hanging up the boots at the end of your career? What is like your mecca? Like, what do you want to have accomplished?
Um, I want to. I would say in terms of soccer, like I say it's always been the dream of mine to play in the Champions League. You know, I feel like that's one of the biggest or the highest levels, I guess you could say. And yeah, you just turn on the TV, everybody wants to play in the Champions League, you know? And I feel like by the end of my career, if I could say I did that, I feel like that'd be pretty cool.
So, Shawn, what is some advice you give, let's say a high schooler that's in that process of getting recruited and going to college? What's some advice you give him on how to get there and the mentality?
I would say like the biggest thing is just doing the work like off the field, you know? Like it's easy to be conditioned. Like I say that now when I wasn't fit, but like it's easy to do the running and it's easy to, you know, hit the gym and be physically capable of doing and performing at the college level. But I'd say like just not forgetting the basics, like working on that first touch consistently, working on your short passing, your long passing, just like the fundamentals of the game that you can kind of lose sight of when you're playing and you don't think it's as important, but just like religiously doing those things anytime you can because like it actually does make a difference. And also not worrying about anybody else's journey along the way. You know, you'll find yourself often being robbed of joy looking at other people's success. And of course, you'd want to be happy for your friends. Don't get me wrong. Like, I have plenty of friends who have gone on to do really good things, and I have nothing but admiration and like respect for what they've done, you know? But there always comes a time where you look at yourself and you don't undermine your ability, but at the same time, you don't want to be like the prissy guy who's just like, oh, that should have been me, you know? And just kind of having that constant, just my time will come, my time will come. And everybody's time is different, you know? And I'm just blessed that my time is happening.
Hell yeah, bro.
And would you say, like, if you could talk to, like, 8, 9, 10-year-old Shawn, what would you like say to him, like, now given your position?
I would say that you have to love it. Like, you have to love it in order for everything to work itself out. Because when you love something, you'll do anything for it. That being, it doesn't even feel like work waking up early or just not even waking up early, just getting outside and doing what you got to do. You know, I feel like a lot of people know what it takes. Like, you know what it takes. If I asked you what would it take to be a professional, like you could answer that question, you know, but it's just a matter of doing it and actually like having that motivation to do it every day. I would say is the biggest
Well, what
thing.
does it take then? What does it take? You going now, you're a pro. What do you mean by people don't know what it takes?
Um, I mean, just like everything you could think of in terms of being a professional athlete, going down to like sleep, nutrition, recovery, technical work, just watching the game on your own, trying to
What about
learn
the
from
mental
people.
side? Do you have, like you just said, like you see other people where they may be in a position that you want to be at? That's more mental than what it is physical, right? I mean,
Mhm.
so do you think that's just as important as all the stuff that you're doing behind the scenes? And how do you overcome those, um, you know, thoughts that come at night or on the way back home after practice that you have to yourself? How is it that you overcome those things? Do you tell yourself something? Like, what is that you do?
Um, that's actually a good question. During my time in Clemson, I actually had access to sports therapists and like therapists, so I was seeing people there. The team there was really good. It was more so when I had gotten injured and I wasn't playing during my freshman year, and that was something that I had, like me personally, I hadn't experienced before. So like just going through that whole, I would say like 4 month slump really like equipped me and like taught me different techniques to excel, to be honest. Like I journal. I kind of keep notes to myself. There was a time where like I was journaling before practice. I would set some goals and then have like a reflection of how practice went and then goals for the next day. And I kind of keep that going. And then once I kind of locked in and up here in terms of that process, I didn't really need to physically write in the journal, you know? Like I just had like mental notes that I would have and kind of check-ins and lights, as I guess you could call them, you know, just to kind of make sure everything's moving swift and spank.
Are there any like specific? Is there a specific like mental state that you feel like you perform best in when you're like actually in a game or in the heat of a big game? Because I remember like me personally, I always played better when I was like pissed off for some reason. But like I know that's always something that's specific to the player. So is there a certain maybe mood or mindset that you play best in, and like how do you get yourself into that zone?
Um, yeah, I would say like knowing that the opposition is supposed to dominate me, you know? Like if I'm going up against like a winger, because me being a fullback, like I'll match up with wingers. I'll say like when the best player on the other team's a winger, or when the winger on the other team is like the best player, you know? I feel like that's definitely a big task at hand, and especially like people questioning my ability to defend them, to go against them, to play in like those types of games. So I would say one is like when the odds are stacked against me, and another, there's like any big occasion, like a final or like a semifinal. Like I love tournament games, you know, when games mean more. I would say like I need to like part of my mentality is when not that the other team is not good, but like it's not a big game, you know, it's just another game. And like turning that switch on where you're like, all right, like I'm gonna treat this like a final, you know? Just like those are the types of games that I like see myself struggling with more than the bigger games.
So you think you play better when you got a little adrenaline going through you?
Yeah, pressure. I like the pressure.
Definitely. So what do you say, like, can you take us through like what a normal game day routine like looked like for you, say like in college? Because I'm sure you're probably still trying to dial everything now at the pro level.
Yeah, I mean, like my college process, it like I learned everything it took to be a professional in college. Like I wake up, I'll do like some type of exercise, like priming. Are you guys familiar with priming? It's just like
No,
when
no. Do
you,
you mind? Do you mind?
yeah, it's just like working out like pretty intense for like a short period of time to get your testosterone as high as you
Okay,
can,
yeah.
and
And then
then
you
like,
tailor off as you get
yeah,
closer.
yeah,
Okay, got
you'll
you.
kind of chill out. So like
Yeah.
I'll wake up. I mean, in college, like we did like pretty intense with the weights, and we all would lift together. But like now, it's like I kind of like just pump up some push-ups and like some crunches and like kind of get like a little workout in. And then around 9 a.m., I'll eat small breakfast. 12, I'll eat again, and then I'll take a nap, eat like a little thing of bread before I walk out, and then walk out the door to head to the stadium. And then before the game, uh, music in. Yeah, just dialed in with my music until game time, I would say.
What
Nothing
do you bump
crazy.
into? Sexy Red, right? Sexy Red, that's good, yeah?
N-
No, no,
Sexy
Nah,
no.
Red.
nah, nah, nah.
Nah,
Honestly,
what are we
like,
listening to, bro?
I mean, it's like now that you
Just
ask,
so
it's kind
yes,
of like
yes.
the first song that I listen to on every game day is Solo by Future. Like the first song that I listen to when I wake up from my nap and I get in the shower, it's Solo. And then I listen to
That song's
Freestyle
fire.
by Rod Wave, and then Don't Forget by Rod Wave. And then after that, after like those three songs, I'm in the zone. And then it's just Afro beats from there. It's like up until game time.
But are you visualizing things as the music plays on? Like are you visualizing things as the song plays? Like what are you visualizing? Scoring a goal, doing a play?
Nah,
Yeah, like what's the
not
celly gonna
really.
be?
Nah. I mean,
No dreams and nightmares before the game.
nah. Honestly, like I prefer like some mellow. Like I listen to like Bob Marley. You know, like if I'll mix like Bob Marley with Afro beats, and I'll just kind of cool it before the game. Honestly, I don't like the boom 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 like the hard beats, like because I feel like it's kind of intense. I like being like in a calm state before I go out. It just I don't know. Recently, I found that out about myself. Don't ask me why, but that's just how I've been.
That's interesting. Probably calms you down.
So Sean,
Yeah.
I want to take it a little back to when you were talking about your journaling and you going through the injury and those 4 months. Me
Mm.
personally, I went through an injury too where I was out for a year, and that's something I really did too. But something I struggled with was the confidence when I came back. And there's a lot of players that are going through that or have been through that or will go through that. What is some advice you give them on, overcoming an injury that you've been out for so long and then having to come back and perform at the level that you're at before?
I would say having a good support system around you comes not first, but it's definitely high up there because, you know, the last thing you want if you're not able to play is people around you questioning if you're capable of doing what you're questioning yourself doing, compared to having people around you that know that you're capable of getting through what you're going through and kind of having those constant reminders and good energy. I would say that's kind of what helped me get through what I went through was the people around me in my corner, and I'll always appreciate them for that. And then at the end of the day, like you have to look yourself in the mirror and know yourself, there's no way that you've arrived to a team and a coach wanted you to play for them and then now you're injured and now you're not good enough. You just kind of have to put out the obvious, or another technique. What I would do is like if you took your situation and you were to give advice to yourself, what would you tell yourself? And then actually implementing those things and having
Wow,
those,
that's fire.
And so like
Yeah.
anything you can to just be in the best state of mind possible, because what I've learned is like that confidence or that feeling that you have when everything kind of like moving well, it makes all the difference in performance.
So now going from Clemson to Vegas and the USL Championship, I've watched multiple games and players are class. What was the biggest thing making that jump from Clemson to playing for Vegas?
I would say just being smarter with my decision making. And that doesn't mean just with the ball. Just like, things as small as like the line is moving quicker up when we clear out, or keeping my body open just so I could see everything that's going on around me. Everything that you kind of know how to do, but you have to continuously remind yourself because those things come way more often, like checking your shoulder. You can get away with it sometimes in college. That's what I'm getting to. Like there's things in college that you can get away with that you don't necessarily get away with in the game because like if you're the last person in the line and you're keeping that guy on, that's on you, And it's so like the mistakes are so minuscule.
Sean, let me ask you this, bro, because I spoke to Jelani and he was talking about the same thing. You know Jelani Forbes, right?
Yeah, that's my guy.
So I was talking to him as well. Yeah. And you mentioned earlier about how you train and you work hard behind the scenes. So the
Mhm.
question is then, and this is a conversation I had with him, I feel like a bunch of young players, especially those who are going to be watching, they try to do everything, every drill in the world. But the truth is, to level up to the next level, don't you think it has to do with environment as well? Like those little things that you're saying right now that make the difference, you weren't doing it in college because maybe at that level it wasn't, you didn't have to do it. But now that you're at a higher level, those are things you don't really train, right? You have to adapt to a certain environment and then you grow. Those are
Um,
things you don't really train, right? Wouldn't you agree? Like to improve, you just have to play with better people around you.
no, yes and no. Like, yes, obviously you can improve with better people around you, but I wouldn't say that that's the only way to improve, Like, there's always a chance to get better anytime you touch the ball. But I mean, I was still doing like my technical stuff in college, like even if it's just pulling a buddy out after training or like on a day off, like we'll go get some touches in. It doesn't have to be like crazy 2 hours, like grinding, but just like highlight. It's like studying for a test. Like, what's going to be on the test. What's going to be required of you come on Saturday. So,
But when you became a pro, was it hard to adapt to it?
I mean, personally, no. Like, like maybe people, like other people's transition have been harder for them, but like, that's just my case personally. And like, I'm blessed to not have struggled yet. Like as much as I thought I was coming in, I thought I was gonna struggle, and I had to
Knock
like
on wood.
really, yeah, I know, right? But like the transition has it's been smooth so far.
That's interesting. It makes sense why you're there at 20 years old, literally playing pro. Like it makes sense. Like you're just at that level. Yeah, that's interesting.
So, Sean, you've played at Montverde, you played at Clemson, now you're playing for Las Vegas.
Mhm.
Who is the best player you've played with? They could watch this, another player could watch this and be butthurt, but who is the best player, the most talented player you've played with?
Dang. This is funny.
Or give me top 3 then. Top 3.
No particular order.
Nah, this is wild.
They're gonna hit him up.
I know. Best players I played with. I played with some like ballers.
Bro, you play with
man.
some class players.
Like,
bro.
I
I know
played with
you
some
played with some
dogs.
dogs.
Oh my god. I would say, oh my goodness. I would say the first on that list would be Mbappe Fall. Like, he's at
Barca.
he's at Barcelona now. Yeah, he's a freaking animal, bro. And I would say another would be he's at Valencia now. Fall was at Villarreal. He was at Villarreal. He went to LAFC, Villarreal, and then Barca. Ali, he's like a midfielder. He went from Montbert straight to Valencia. He's like N'Golo Kante and Paul Pogba, like in one player. Like, it's ridiculous. And then a third, like, I have so many people that I can pick from. It's honestly so hard to pick, but I would say Usman Sila. Usman Sila. He was like the guy who won the McCormick at Clemson. He's like,
Yeah, he's
he's just
good,
so
bro.
consistent. He's so
tough.
consistent, and it's so hard to win the ball for him. So I'd say like those three, but like I could go on and give you like 15 other names that are like that you could just sub in.
Respect, bro. You've played with great players. With all these players, let's say these 3 players and your next top 5 players, what makes them different and takes them to that level? The Europe, the Barcelona, the LAFC.
One thing that they all have in common is that like soccer is life or death, you know? Like, it had nothing to do with like God-given talent or like, anything special. Like, it's just, I've played with a lot of people that have come from maybe, let's not say, the most ideal upbringings. Like, a lot of people have come from third world countries that I've played with, and I've gained a lot of perspective and I've heard a lot of stories, and it just comes down to they've been given opportunities and it's their life's goal to take advantage of it, you know? And so what I found is like typically, especially in America, like Americans tend to take for granted what's actually in front of them compared to you see guys from me playing on Montbert. I played with a lot of guys from Brazil, Ghana, Senegal, Canada, like Japan, like a lot of places where they get to America and they're like, wow, you guys have it very nice. You guys have a lot of facilities, a lot of pitches, a lot of access and resources that they're not used to, you know? And then they come here and they'll take full advantage of it because they know not that they're better born with the ball at their feet, but it's just like it is life or death. Like when you have a problem and your life is on the line, like you'll figure it out, you know? And I feel like that's one thing that all the best players that I played with have in common. They all got that dog in them.
Shawn, so we've started to do this thing where we ask our guest to leave a question for the following guest. So our last guest, Matthew Acosta, he just transferred to UNC from Rutgers. He asked a question for you.
Since we were talking a little bit about mental, I would say what's your like biggest thing to get your mind away from soccer? Because we're always thinking about soccer, but like what gets your mind off it? What, like, sometimes we have to detach ourselves because we can go crazy. But I'd say that what's the biggest thing you do to like get your mind off soccer? And
The biggest thing I do to get my mind off the game, I would say just calling people, keeping in touch with my friends that don't play soccer, just getting different perspectives. Yeah, reading, cooking, just like little small tasks, you know? I mean, I'd be lying if I said like I wasn't thinking about soccer all day, every day. Like we all do, you know? But it's like making it the forefront of my mind, maybe not so much, you know? I'll find other things to kind of distract me. But I'll say for now, yeah, just like little stuff. Nothing crazy.
Shawn, seriously, thanks so much for everything, bro.
Nah, bro. Happy to get on. I appreciate the time and the research that you guys put into this. All right, boys. Appreciate the time.
All right, take care, brother.
All right,
bro. Thanks for hopping on, bro.
Appreciate it, bro.
bye, guys.
Thank you, Shawn.